I am Steve Lentini, and I'm your host for the podcast Different Thinking for Different Times, Season 3, Episode 37. So, Ernest Holmes once said, "The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything." So, imagine a mind that's consumed with small minded thinking, making others wrong, reacting everywhere, lashing out on social media. I chuckle because of what wasted energy that is. And so imagine the mind that governs everything being small minded. So this is from November, and you may remember it, but I'll remind it again. Let me read you this. Mindfulness is a commonly used term these days. I hear business leaders telling their employees to be mindful, doctors telling their parents to be mindful of their health, and even teachers telling students to practice mindfulness during tests and assignments. Mindfulness is a powerful concept and practice when put into motion. Let's explore a quick mindfulness exercise. And this was in the Science of Mind on November 27th, 2020. If you have that, you still have that Science of Mind magazine. As you reflect over the last few days, are you aware of what you were willing and filling your mind with? I'll repeat the question. Are you aware of what you were filling your mind with? I add willing because most people don't even manage their small minded thoughts. Those are my comments. And I continue with the article. If you continue to focus on those things, let's suppose they're small minded, limited, angry, making others wrong, what will unfold in your experience? If everyone around you filled their mind with the same thoughts that you do day in and day out, would you like to be around those people? So, what I learned on November 18th, 2002 is just how small minded my own thinking was. And the fascinating thing is, nothing from here went with me there when I went to what's next, or what most people would call death. I flatlined in intensive care. 1 second with two friends at the end of my bed, and the next second, one with everything and nothing, one with the infinite. I like to empty my mind out now because I know how silly most of my small minded, limited thinking can be. And when I recognize it active more on a certain day, I'm just willing to let go of the fact that I'm one with everything and nothing, that I don't have to know everything, that I'm okay knowing nothing. And when you empty yourself like that, it's amazing what occurs because you can now ponder, if you choose, an amazing future, one filled with abundance, success, and love at amazing levels, if you allow yourself that. In his book, Gay Hendricks writes, in The Big Leap, to spend some time looking at what are your default patterns that I also have talked about. You can hear my dog barking, he agrees. And so what you want to do is spend some time recognizing your thinking. Is it small-minded and limited, or is it limitless, infinite thinking, which mirrors what we live in? And we're so filled with hubris and ego that we think we know it all. Yet we live in an amazingly intelligent universe, and the earth itself has an intelligence. So think about which thinking you'd like to mirror. And small minded thinking has you afraid of death, or perhaps the future, or fearing where you'll get your next meal, or that you can't manifest the desire of your dreams. You find all the reasons why you couldn't write a book, have a message that would inspire others, have your own business, live the life you've imagined, as Henry David Thoreau pondered. When you expand your thinking, you find that you are the one holding yourself back. But you have to prove this to yourself. I say never blindly follow anyone or anything. And you can see the examples of how small-minded people are following one thing or another, and just look at examples in history where whole societies turn despotic following small-minded thinking. We don't have to look far. But the thing is, you can prove it to yourself. You don't have to change the rest of the world. Just do what's yours to do. Find your passion. Think every day that you're expanding in abundance, success, and love as you inspire those around you to do the same. Are you doing that? Or is the life you're leading modeling small-minded, limited behavior and limited thinking? Just a smile might change someone's day. And I can tell you that on the other side, when my life flashed before me, only the good I had done, including people I had smiled at, where somehow I made an impact just connecting with them briefly, total strangers. And I remember feeling like I was living on the miracle of 34th Street when I met someone walking near Macy's in New York City who said, "Hey, I know you. Where do I know you from?" And we had a wonderful discussion. And the next day I saw the guy again. "Hey, now I know you." And in a city of millions, what were the odds that he'd be coming out of the subway at a totally different time on a totally different street, and we'd meet again and again? We were both in the moment, in the miracle. And I can tell you that only the good you do is etched onto the fabric of time. That if it sounds small-minded, it's not what's next. It's not where the infinite resides. And you can call the infinite God, the goddess, the Brahma, the Buddha, the Muhammad, the Abraham, the Christ. They're consciousnesses. It's a consciousness and a message. They all had a message of doing good and taking care of the least among us. And the consciousness of the infinite is ever expanding into something better and bigger, and that everything does work together for good. It's only our small-minded, tight thinking that has us reacting to things that don't fit our picture. We get angry. We're upset. We live without joy because we make the moment wrong. Yet that's where the divine was. There was only the now. I call it the now on steroids. There was a now and a now and a now, and I could not string the events together till I got back in my hospital room in intensive care after I surrendered totally. My consciousness answered the question, stay or go, with thy will be done. And my thinking was blown away totally, understanding how small-minded and filled with hubris and ego I was, and then all of humanity. We somehow think we've got all the answers and that we think like God. No, we're ants next to a bridge abutment. Do ants know they live next to a bridge abutment, let alone a bridge? That's our experience as humans. We're so tightly wound, filled with ourselves, making others wrong, reacting, being angry, that we don't find the blessing in the moment, even the uncomfortable moments, and the uncomfortable people. They're here to help us expand by asking, what's this here to teach me? What am I to learn from this person? What am I to learn from this event? What choices caused this in my life? How did I create this? Those are all great questions. And again, you have to prove that to yourself by first examining how small minded your own thinking might be and where can you make a change and think like the infinite. You know, humans have been filled with the idea of sin and that we'll also burn in hell when we make mistakes. And there, I've found many other people who had a near death experience that it was the same as mine. They found no mention of sin. And they came to the similar conclusion that we're here to make mistakes. We're here to learn and grow. In fact, that's how we learn and grow if we wake up to changing, that the universe keeps knocking on our door. If you've ever heard of the term, what you resist persists. If you keep doing negative things, keep thinking small minded, the universe will keep giving you things that do not fit your picture, tempting you to recoil into anger and bitterness and maybe escape using sex or drugs or video games or something that takes you away, wanting to escape perhaps the geographic you're moving. Wherever you go, there you are. And the search for the infinite, the search for God, the search for the divine is missed when we're looking for something else than what shows up in the moment. That's where the divine was, in the now. And so that has me completely changing my thinking, embracing each moment. Like Eckhart Tolle also says, when something doesn't match your picture, breathe and relax and say, oh, this must be the plan. If it doesn't match the acorn brain's plan, that small-minded thinker wanting the moment to be as you determined, breathe, relax, and go with it and find the joy in that. Oh, this must be the plan. Prove it to yourself. Don't take my word for it. And you will experience what I experienced. What's next? That's what we should call death. What's next? And I hope it's not before this podcast ends. I hope you have a long life. And remember, on that day, I wasn't thinking of dying. In fact, 5 days earlier, I was doing a seminar, totally healthy. 1 second, and the next second, I needed an ambulance. 5 days later, the flatline experience, such a gift, one with the everything and nothing, one with the now, one with the divine. And learning how small-minded my own thinking was and how resisting the now was I created my own pain. So overcome your small-minded thinking and prove it to yourself or stay with it and see what that brings. Just keep asking yourself when you're making others wrong, does this sound like small-minded thinking? And that burning in hell, besides making mistakes here, is just more small-minded thinking. And the concept of sin, it was devised by humans to keep others in line. The threat, the fear, anything that sounds small-minded, it's not infinite, and it didn't come from the infinite. Read The God of Spinoza, which is how Einstein answered the question, do you believe in God? He would say, I believe in the God of Spinoza. Baruch Spinoza, later Benedict Spinoza, wrote that in the 1600s, and of course was made wrong by it. But fascinating, he had a knowing. Maybe he had a near-death experience like I did. There's a reason more and more people are coming back from what's next experience to share their experience, to help others break through that small-minded thinking that makes so many others wrong so you can feel right. It's small-minded. But again, don't take my word for it. Research it for yourself. If you'd like to support this podcast, feel free. If you'd like to sponsor it, reach out to me. If you'd like to be a guest and challenge me, Steve at stevelentini.com. Steve at Steve, L as in Linda, E-N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, INI.com. And remember, if you come on the show, I might just ask you, does that sound like small-minded thinking? Thanks.